Welcome back, subscribers and potential subscribers. We're going to be bucking out the green machine today. And this is not the lure giveaway, if anybody was expecting that. I'm waiting for Willie to get back to me when he receives his lure in the mail. I will be posting that video, so stay tuned for that. This is the super jointed. And we'll get that on and poppin'. So I just wrapped the threads in there. I didn't glue it at the start here. It just kind of got wedged in there, so that's all fine and good. Now, like I said, it's super jointed. I want the body and the neck kind of to be separate. Hopefully there'll be some different action in there, but that's debatable. The next bucktailing episode will be a full episode, three-parter, and I'll be answering a lot of questions that I have been asked in a lot of my other videos. So if you do have any questions, this is definitely the video to drop those on, and I will get to as many of those as possible for the three-parter. So we can cover everything in one go here. So sometimes I like to just wrap this around. And as you can see, you can move it around freely. If you only give it a couple wraps, not too tight. Put a little weight on the bottom to hold everything in place. But then this is the moment where you're pretty much deciding how you want it to lie. And if you're a little less experienced, you can drop a piece of glue in there and hold each piece in place. Or as you become more experienced, you can just keep wrapping, and as you apply each one or in bundles, you can then apply the glue at the end. So we got the purple tail kicking, not too shabby. So we're gonna go in and add some highlights, make it all color coded and pretty. Now for these ones, most of them are light on straight because it is the tail. It's not gonna be as bucked out. We're gonna have more of a tapered effect, bigger at the neck, smaller at the tail. So I know that all of this will only be slightly poking out the back. That's always good to keep in mind when you're making your lure. As you can see, if things move around, as long as you're not pulling too tight, you can always rearrange the feathers as the string is wrapped around and held in place, so you can get that perfect desired look. For this one, I'm not gonna buck it out. I'm gonna keep it straight flat, because like I said, it is a tail, so we're not gonna see too much of this, maybe only 50%, possibly even less. It's hard to say. We'll see when I get going on the other half, how long and how bucked out it actually will end up. Alright, so we just went with three sides of the green, which matches really well with the beads. Most of the body will be a brighter green, so that's why the tail is more dominant purple. And I don't know why I used a tri-hook this time, if anybody's wondering that. Just thought I'd give it a different go. So we're gonna go in and add a big old green body with little spots of purple and an odd spot of red, just to signify a little bit of blood possibly. I find that it does work the best when I have compared some of my smaller lures, although this one's a little bit bigger. Probably gonna get down to about, I don't know, 5 to 12 feet maybe, roughly in depth. The double blade really helps with that. I believe it's Little Riverbaits asked the question, how would I get a lure down to, I think it was 30, 40 feet? Well, that is an extremely good question because I've never really fished a spinner at that depth. So with no added attachments other than the lure, I had to put some thought into that. And I have an extremely well detailed answer that will be included in the 3-part tutorial. So stay tuned for that. But here, as you can see the brown, I'm just going to go with a little bit signature brown, tuck in there. Sometimes it's easier if the feathers are thin to apply them in a wad as opposed to one at a time. It all depends on the look you're going for. You can gauge that yourself. But these two I'm going to attach together just because it seems a little bit easier, since I want to keep the purple with the purple and have the green more coming off of the body. As you can see there, prior to holding everything in its permanent position, I noticed the green is not sticking out, right? So that's always good when you just have it wrapped around, to move it around, see how it sits, move it in different places. As you can see now, it's definitely puffed out, and green will be dominant there. Not too bad. This is also a good opportunity to rearrange the depth. If you need to, you can pull them back, make it shorter. Want more of that tail hanging out, maybe less of the tail. I'm just gonna lie those, tuck them underneath the purple there, conceal that a little bit. But these ones, this specific row, it's always best to cross the patterns, I find, as opposed to lying all of the stems together, like in a neat row. Because when you do that, I find the bucktail kind of, everything, when it gets wet and it goes through the water, everything just lies down a little bit too neat. So I find when you cross the patterns and the water starts flowing in between them, it kind of keeps everything separated nicely. I'll just shorten those a bit because I apparently cut those too long. I always like to give a little extra. You never know how much you're going to need once it's right on there. So I play it safe. It's not too bad. And we'll also just tuck a little bit of red in there. When more of the body goes on, more of the red will be hidden. So you'll only see a very small amount. Just kind of a highlight wounds. Alright. So this is where we at. We got all those 3 layers on. The green, the purple, the brown, and the red. Well, I guess 4. And although the red looks very fluffed out now, once it's wet and the other layer comes on, those will be tucked underneath and you'll just see those end pieces sticking out. Like I said, you always got to have a kind of an angle. Well, I guess you don't really always have to, but it's always nice to have an angle to know where you're going to end up. Just makes things a little bit easier. I've also angled these a lot to make sure that the next layer that comes on doesn't really sit on that layer, because it'll be up here on the next piece. So hopefully there'll be a nice gap in between there, kind of let that flow separately. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know. Or maybe I won't, because this one is not for me. But hopefully, like I've requested, people will take pictures and get back to me on how these lures react, some of the ones that I haven't tested. Although most of them I do test heavily. This particular one here is more experimental. So we've gone extremely cross-eyed here. As you can see, I didn't trim anything. I wanted you to all see that I didn't lie glue and put each one down. I slowly wrapped each one separately. So right now I could still move these around if I want to replace them, make it less bucked out, more bucked out. This is the moment where I would do that. But I have a lot of good room here. Everything's wiggling fine. We got a gap there. It's not too bad. Conceal some of the red, although we're still going to apply a lot more. And as we do, we'll off-center a little bit more red. It's the extreme machine. Nah, but straight up though, yo, quick shout out. When I was making this lure, or had the idea for it, I was thinking about this YouTuber that does a lot of videos and gaming, DashEXP. I was totally thinking about him when I did this, so I know he'll never be watching my videos, but respect to him. Check him out, he's dope. But as you can see, this is all gonna buck out nice. Nice buck there. It pops out, so you know there'll be a lot of force against the water to kind of keep things moving along, wiggling, instead of lying down flat. And it's looking pretty damn full, I'd have to say. Somewhat still color-coded. Let me get that collar popping. Now, I don't know if anybody else could have envisioned that, you know, without seeing the picture. But to me, this was the most key part, was to have the bright purple up at the top as the collar with the 3 long feathers coming out. doing their own thing. So hopefully those will dangle over the whole entire body nicely and kind of keep separated. I don't want them to lie down and start touching a lot of the other feathers. I'm also going to wrap that tip with some bright vibrant green, as opposed to some of the other green that I use when I tied all this. Is a completely different thread. It's a little bit more absorbent to liquids like the glue or anything you're going to hold in place, because that other bright stuff is pretty thick. Doesn't soak in very well. Alright. Oh boy, oh boy. I'm pretty happy with this, I'm not gonna lie. It's really different for my taste. If you're starting to feel my groove, I definitely like the nature colors and everything to do with nature. Yo, shout out to some guy who asked me what northern scripture meant. Respect, yo. I can't believe nobody asked that yet. But then again, somebody flagged your comment as spam. Like, I don't know what the fuck, man. I'm still figuring out this YouTube shit, so bear with me. Holla at ya. Holla at ya, boy. So it's looking pretty good. Super bucked out. It's big, it's fat. Hopefully it doesn't lie down too much. A little accented brown in there. I'll make that my calling card. Try to add it into everything now. Some sort of brown. Gotta keep it earthy. It's not too bad. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. Remember, drop your comments in this video if you want me to answer them in the next tutorial. I'll be more than happy to do so. I appreciate you guys sticking with me and subscribing. If you haven't already, please head over and do that. It's just a click, just a click. Holla!